Good evening, everyone. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is LaShawn, and this is Slash Uncut. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the possibility of the black vote finally, after decades, going to the Republicans.
Chicago's in crisis. Lifelong residents fed up with the condition of the Windy City, which has seen a 16% jump in crime, over 14,000 migrants living in the city, and a 14% rise in homelessness. But now some residents want solutions that sound a lot like Republican priorities.
We don't have enough room for the migrants. We don't have support services.
We must close the southern border. We cannot really take care of more migrants coming to Chicago.
Chicago resident and activist Mark Carter and Chicago resident Kata Truss say they're done with the Democrat Party in Chicago, want to flip the city red in 2024. They both join me now. Thanks for being here. Mark, start with you. Has Chicago reached that tipping point where people finally say, look, enough is enough. I'm switching from Democrat to Republican, something that city hasn't seen in decades, if not like centuries?
Definitely. And that is because we see that the Democratic Party has decided to do away with us. And so we're fine with that. And so we're going to do away with them. And with that, we say to Donald Trump, come to Chicago and meet with us. This city not only has decided to do away with us, but they have come up with a plan called the Office of New Americans, which is attached to a bigger plan across the country. So we say this to all of our people across the country. The bigger plan is Cities for Action. Cities for Action is where over 200 mayors and county executives have decided to take care of immigrants over Americans. And so since they've decided, since the blue has decided to do away with us, then we've decided to go red and do away with them.
Before I continue here, I have a couple of stats that I wanted to look at just so we can get an idea of exactly what is going on. So Chicago has an almost 30% black population. I think it's like 28.8% of Chicago is black. And if you look at the electoral map here, I think this is what happened in 2020 election. You can see that Chicago is deep blue and the surrounding cities and counties, there are some blue cities there, but a lot of them are red. But yet the state of Illinois went 57% for Biden. But if you look here, Cook County, which is where Chicago is, has 5 million plus residents, when the larger, the other three counties who are the largest compared to Cook County have under 1 million, which means that even though the state of Illinois is like a majority red, the fact that Cook County, where Chicago is, has such a high is so densely populated, then it tends to turn the state blue when it comes to federal elections. And there are a lot of blue states that have a similar electoral makeup. I think New York is actually the biggest example of that, where you have New York City that is very densely populated and very blue, but the surrounding counties and cities, we have upstate New York, Long Island, tend to lean more right, but because of the highly densely populated city, the state goes blue election after election after election. Now, in 2016, the Democrats received 89% of the black vote. And in 2020, the Democrats received 87% of the black vote. I know that's a very, tiny decline, but still it is trending downwards. And when you see what's going on with the migrant crisis, and it's not just Chicago, it's also New York. It's, I know there's a couple cities in California. There's a lot of blue cities that are starting to feel the weight of the migrant crisis, and it's turning a lot of voters to look into another direction. And in addition to the migrant crisis, we have the rise in crime and also inflation and just this general dissatisfaction with Biden's job as president. So the question then begs, is the Black community finally leaving the Democratic Party? The answer to that is probably not, but maybe. If the status quo remains the same between now and November, the Black vote might just be up for grabs. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to Donald Trump, most people's opinions are baked in. Most people, but they are voters that will typically vote blue that are, again, very dissatisfied with Joe Biden's job and who are willing to just try something new, because why would I vote for the same guy that has made my life miserable for the last 3 years or so? We are now able to compare life under Trump versus life under Joe Biden, and the differences are obvious. People are just not as well off as they were under Trump now that we are under Biden. So, and it's, unfortunately for the Democrats, it's not just normal Republican voters that are feeling it. It's literally everyone across the board. And again, with the migrant crisis, and Joe Biden clearly just not doing anything to stop the flow of people over the southern border, the blame is going to go to him. And a lot of Black people, and this is, again, like I said, not just in Chicago, are feeling like they are being, put aside or set aside to prioritize those migrants. We had Mayor Eric Adams in New York talk about how he's going to have to cut, funding for libraries and the police department and social services in order to cater to the migrants. Now, if you are a New Yorker, and you know what it is to wake up in that city, go to work and grind in such a tough environment, to know that the tax money that is constantly and very religiously being taken out of your paycheck is going to go to support migrants, that is upsetting and it's very disrespectful. So there's no reason why there's this just like appetite for changing parties. However, though, and this is my point number 2, Republicans know how to waste an opportunity. The Republicans, especially establishment Republicans, just are not wise enough. They don't have the competency. They don't have the innovation to take advantage of an opportunity like this right now. The fact that people are so upset with Joe Biden, so dissatisfied with the job that he has done, it is clear that there is room for, to convince normal, reliable, dedicated Democrat voters to switch parties. However, Republicans are literally just too stupid. They know how to fumble a very easy bag, and I have no doubt that they will disappoint their constituents this year by fumbling such a really clear-cut opportunity. My last point is that the entire left-wing media, Hollywood, and the Democratic establishment has had Black people hypnotized for decades. Breaking through that hypnosis is going to be a challenge. And we all saw what happened in 2020 with the George Floyd riots. All it takes is one incident, one story to blow up in a way that the media can flip this to say Republican bad, white people bad, foster, and feed the flames of the racial division that they have, orchestrated within the last couple of decades to swing voters in a certain direction. And you probably could think, people are not going to fall for that again. People are going to be wise enough to say, listen, I'm not going to be bamboozled again. But people, especially the Black community, they're very emotional voters. And because that type of emotion has just been fed and manipulated, over and over again, and it's going to keep happening, it's very likely that all it's going to take is one bad incident, and I hope this doesn't happen, but to keep people voting in a certain direction. All in all, I do think there might be some hope on the horizon. I do feel like there's certain conversations happening in the Black community regarding, who we're going to vote for and why we're voting for them that we have not had before. I read the comments a lot on, posts about Trump and, all of these different things that are happening. And I can see some people saying, listen, we have been voting for the Democrats since I can remember, and we haven't gotten anything from it. And then there's always, well, the Republicans are no better, but it's just like, at least we can try something different. Like, why do the same thing and expect different results over and over and over again?